John, obviously a disappointing result at the weekend. What's been the main focus of training since Sunday's game?
There have been many facets, but the main ones that you asked for, Luke, would be discipline with regard to not giving penalties when in possession of the ball, especially. Cutting down on the errors, which again plagued us when we were bringing the ball out from our own end. Executing plays better so that when we have got field position, we come away with something. And obviously there's been a defensive emphasis as well, so that we can make sure that we win that yardage battle.
Could you take any encouragement from the fact, chances were made and potentially it could have been a different scoreline had those chances been taken?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there were three absolute blatant clear-cut chances, where we dropped the ball over the line basically. So you nail them, and it may well be a different game, but we didn't, and that's the fact of the matter. So yes, there are some positives. There are positives in most games. There are positives, but there were negatives as well, and we've had to look to address them in the early part of the week. Now we're going Batley specific and really attempting to nullify their threats and exploit any perceived weaknesses that we feel that they've got.
It was a stark reminder that if your levels do drop at any point during the game, you can get beaten by a smart side like Widnes, and Batley will have the same threats coming towards Hull this Sunday.
Very much so. Batley are a really good team. Craig Lingard's doing a fantastic job there. He's a mate of mine. I know his beliefs on playing the game. He knows mine, so we might well cancel ourselves out there. But they complete high. They've got a really good go forward with their forward pack. And they've got some clever halfbacks who demonstrate a really good kicking game, with Gilmour especially prominent in that. And then they've got some three-quarters who can really pose a threat and post some points. So we know full well we've got our work cut out, big style, and it is. I think you can easily measure how much work we've got cut out. They're third in the table and we're fourth. So it really is, everything points to a very, very tight game indeed. And that's what I'm expecting.
They made an impressive start and they've continued that as well. They haven't dropped off at all, so it shows just how much of a threat they can be. It wasn't an early season boost and bubble. That bubble hasn't burst. It shows they're a quality side and one that'll really challenge your team.
Yes, 7 out of 10. I mean, we've got 7 out of 10. They've got 7 out of 10, but they've got a better points difference. So that's the reason they're above us in the table. So we can feel content with a reasonable start to the season, and I think Batley will be happy with their start to the season as well. So it's going to be a cracking game.
And moving now to the second half of the season towards the business end, what lessons have you learnt about your side over the first 10-11 games?
Yeah, I think we've grown as a group. I think we were making great steps forward until we've had some injuries. There's no doubt about that, and other clubs have as well. But we seem to have picked up some serious ones to key players. You're thinking of Matty Dawson-Jones, you're thinking of Danny Brough, and you're thinking of Levy and Zongo. All three of them would be basically shoo-ins into your 17. So it obviously does affect you, and obviously we've had George Flanagan's suspension as well, who'll be more than likely in and around the 17. So yeah, we've been affected with absences, but most teams have. But I think we've picked them up in the key positions, which we'd rather not have done. But that's life, and hopefully with Joe Keys coming in on loan, part of that problem will be solved for this coming Sunday.
You've touched upon George and Joe briefly. If George and Joe are selected, it'll bring a spark to your side, and also alongside Thomas Doyle, who's sparking around the ruck, might speed the game up a little bit.
Yeah, well, Tom's been fantastic, hasn't he? I mean, I think I spoke before, and I think his commitment to the cause has been tremendous. Numerous times he's played 80 minutes as a hooker, which takes some doing in the modern game. And as you rightly say, George Flanagan will bring more than an element of excitement. So, but he's just itching to play. And I'm hoping Joe brings us that element of smartness and composure as well, which I'm sure that he will do. So yeah, three positive returnees, but there's one obviously absence, so we will feel the absence of as well in Eben Kear, who he's been in close contact with somebody who's been tested positive, so he's got to do his isolation. There's nothing at all we can do about that. So Eben hasn't been at training this week, and he won't be at the game this weekend.
other than that, from the Widnes game, just bumps and bruises, everyone else shaping up relatively okay?
Yeah, there were bumps and there's bumps and bruises every week, look, but there's nothing serious that should keep anybody out. The only one obviously is Eben, but as I say, we've lost one, we've got 3 coming back. I'd accept that roster every week, believe you me.
And just touching on injuries, John, a few Bradford fans have been asking about Matty Dawson-Jones, any timescales, Levy and Zongo, Jack Sanderson, etc.
Yeah, well, you can give timescales, but you know it's difficult to nail it down because some people heal quicker than others, some people respond to rehab better than others. Consequently, some people get back earlier than expected, and some people perhaps a week or 2 later. But for example, Danny Brough, we're looking at 8 weeks or so from now. Matty Dawson-Jones, just a tad shorter. Levy and Zongo, a tad longer. So, you know, there's still long-term injuries. So, from our point of view, on the performance side, we tend to just push them to one side and say, rehab people and physio people, let's get the treatment and the rehab done to get them back as soon as possible. And when they're getting near, that's when you can start trying to integrate them into the group. But obviously, as a 3, they're doing lots of work on their own. Danny is obviously being integrated into the group because he's trying to help out our halfbacks to make sure that we overcome his absence. So yeah, it's difficult, but it's not impossible, and it's a challenge that I feel that we will handle in the fullness of time.
Sorry, John, just missed one out there. Billy Jowett, how's he after?
Yeah, well, that was good fortune as well with Billy because although the doctor felt 95% certain he'd broken his hand because of the amount of swelling and the discomfort Billy was feeling, when he actually went for the X-ray, it wasn't broken. It's still pretty swollen and sore, but should we require him, I'm sure he'll be able to put a jumper on him and play this weekend.
Thanks very much, John.